After the tragedy in Uvalde, the search for solutions.
As teachers, we are afraid to be in our schools and that it is not fair for us.
What's already in place?
It takes us all to help protect our community.
What needs to be improved?
Don't think that the public is going to accept just the status quo anymore.
And the new ideas aiming to make a difference.
It's really about empowering students and staff to make decisions that could save their lives.
In the effort to stop mass shootings.
We are in a window of opportunity right now that we have not been in before. A window where it seems like real change can happen.
Hello, and thank you for joining us. I'm Josh Hinkle. This week, we're taking this special edition of our program to the state capitol, where lawmakers have been holding hearings to shape the state's response to the deadly school shooting in Uvalde. Since then, we've launched our Stop Mass Shootings initiative. It's a series of stories to provide context and explore solutions surrounding gun violence. We want our reports to be a resource for all Texans, but we also want lawmakers to watch these reports as they continue working to craft policies to make our state safer. It's why our team sent those leaders a letter this week highlighting our work and the reasons we're taking this approach. It comes as this week those leaders announced more than $105 million in new funding for school safety and mental health initiatives. Most of that money will go toward bullet-resistant shields for school district police. More than $17 million will help districts purchase silent panic alert technology, and nearly $5 million will help the Texas Department of Public Safety expand fusion center capabilities. We know fusion centers in Texas help carry out a program relying on the public to prevent future tragedies, but is it actually making us safer? Investigator Matt Grant takes a closer look at suspicious activity reporting.
Our citizens are our eyes and ears.
The state's iWatch program allows anyone to anonymously report suspicious activity. It started in 2013, with an app added in 2018 following the mass shooting in Santa Fe, Texas. But one concern.
Have you ever heard of Texas's iWatch program?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Not all Texans have even heard of iWatch.
Have you ever heard of it?
No, sir, I have not.
Yet, in the wake of Uvalde, Governor Abbott wants to expand the program, and by extension, fusion centers, where state and federal law enforcement come together to share information and analyze suspicious activity reports. This is a look inside one we toured in 2019 after the Walmart shooting in El Paso.
In order to connect the dots, you have to collect the dots.
Fred Burton is a former counterterrorism special agent. He now runs the Ontic Center for Protective Intelligence in Austin and says mass shooters almost always show warning signs. He calls Texas's program wonderful, saying it and others like it absolutely saves lives.
We are much safer as a nation because of the efforts of the state fusion centers and the FBI Joint Terrorism Task Forces.
But not everyone agrees.
The data that we have shows that neither suspicious activity reporting nor fusion centers are really the solution to any pressing problem.
Jake Weiner is an attorney and fellow at the Electronic Privacy Information Center in Washington, D.C. He says he's seen thousands of confidential suspicious activity reports leaked after a nationwide hack in 2020. He describes them as, quote, generally low-quality intelligence.
Very often what they're reporting is just someone behaving oddly in the street. The consequences of that is going to be more criminalization of folks who are mentally ill.
Weiner worries Texas is spending millions to monitor innocent people. That's echoed in a Boston University report issued last year. It cited privacy concerns with the Austin Fusion Center's surveillance of a virtual Juneteenth festival and Black Lives Matter protesters in 2020, saying the Austin Regional Intelligence Center used city resources to share personal information of vulnerable Austin residents, including students and immigrants, with federal agencies, placing them at greater risk of arrest, detention, and deportation.
What they do very well is they do a lot of surveillance of political dissidents, of protesters, of ordinary folks going about their lives.
Austin police say they only assist federal immigration enforcement with active criminal cases and only monitor events and protests to determine if there are safety concerns. APD also said it supports and defends privacy, civil rights, and liberties. Last year, Texas received nearly 8,000 iWatch tips. It's unclear how many of those were credible, resulted in an arrest, or stopped an attack, because DPS says it doesn't track that.
We've had about 20 years to kind of get this right, which means for fusion centers to show their work, to show what they're doing and the impact of it. and they've never been able to do so.
Still, law enforcement say suspicious activity reporting is critical. In Richardson, the day after Uvalde, someone called police after seeing a student walking to school with a rifle. He was arrested with a semi-automatic in his vehicle.
It takes us all to help protect our community.
We reached out to DPS for comment, but did not hear back.
Matt, the government requires every state to have a fusion center. How do other states handle theirs?
Well, we reached out to more than 25 states. Some, like Colorado and Oregon, quickly responded with concrete statistics and reports. But Josh, some states have no statewide reporting system or no records at all.
All right, Matt, thank you very much. Earlier, we mentioned more funding for mental health initiatives, but lawmakers have already been focusing on this topic during hearings at the Capitol in recent weeks, looking at the effectiveness of the Texas Child Mental Health Consortium. It launched in 2019 after the deadly shooting at Santa Fe High School to get distressed kids mental health care. But lawmakers learned it has gaps and limitations. The consortium's telehealth services, known as TChat, are supposed to give schools a way to report concerning child behavior and get them access to care. But the consortium cannot help children unless a parent or guardian signs off on services. Leaders say another issue is shortages of mental health employees across the state.
Look at Uvalde or a variety of other local mental health authorities. They had significant vacancies at the time that this occurred. And if you can't have that basic structure to provide mental health services in Texas, it's hard for these other supplemental services to be as effective as they need to be.
The consortium will get some extra funding. State leaders announced an additional $5.8 million will go toward expanding the TChat program.
Just ahead, 1 month after the shooting in Uvalde, we're finding out what teachers are worried about at their own schools. We break down their concerns for campus security. Plus, active shooter training focused on students. How a new approach outside of Texas is teaching kids to respond and fight back.
I don't think that the public is going to accept just the status quo anymore.
And renewed calls to change gun laws. We look closer at how Texas compares to other states. Do tighter regulations really lead to safety?